Let's start with my San Francisco 49ers. The injury bug stuff right now is it's kind of just getting out of hand, you know. Um, but let's fall in line here. Okay, can Brock Purdy take another step as the franchise quarterback? Honestly, the rumblings that I'm hearing is he's had the best training camp that he has had, since he's become a pro. So I think that's definitely a bright spot. He has many accomplishments already as a 49er, and he is the franchise, getting that big ass contract. And I've heard in training camp, he's only like thrown one pick. And I think he's listening to criticism. People were saying he was kind of like floating the ball a little bit, but all of a sudden, every day after that kind of criticism was made public, he's zipping the ball everywhere and only has, in all the scrimmages, only has one um, interception. And he's kind of known for in training camp and stuff like that, he just kind of lets the interceptions fly. So to get it out of his system, but he's being way more precise. And I think there's kind of a underlying thing with Kyle Shanahan's accident and his recuperation that Brock is quiet, but he's got to take that lead. And I think he's gonna do good this year. You got to cut him slack on he was injured last year, tried to rush back, got re-injured, and it was kind of shaky. But then he did come back, and he was the Brock that we know. And I think with a full season under his belt, with hopefully weapons not injured, I think he's gonna take that step as being the 49ers' future franchise quarterback, because a lot of people actually say that he could be on the hot seat. This could be a make or break year for Brock Purdy. So we'll see how that goes. But all right, next, Brandon Aiyuk situation and his future with the team. I've kind of beat this to death, and what I really feel is, as far as the best situation for Brandon Ayuk is to get reinstated, play with the Niners for one season, rebuild his reputation, because, you know, the NFL is a forgiving kind of place and they always love a comeback story. So, I think if he swallows his pride and he does that, that's would be the best for Brandon Ayuk. But as far as the 49ers, I think they're over with. I mean, they're done with him, and he just made too many personal shots to higher up guys. And I think they've obviously wiped their hands clean, being very stubborn for the fact that if someone wants to trade for him, they'll trade, but they haven't released him. And that's their only other option as far as right now. So that's what I see with him. And I don't see no reconciliation with these guys. So as far as 49ers, Brandon Ayuk, I think that's a thing of the past, even though the distraction will be with the 49ers, whether Brandon is on the team or not. So Christian McCaffrey's health and workload. That's the big question. And honestly, right now, I think he's the most shocking guy that has not been injured so far. Let's knock on wood. I mean, and I think that's good. I think that's a credit to CMC, getting his movement coach. Like I said before, he hired Conor McGregor in his primes, movement coach, to just, help everything that goes along with his joints and movement to maybe stay away from, any re-injury. And from what I've been hearing, critics say at training camp is that he looks like he has that old bounce back. So that would be something incredible for the 49ers to take advantage of. But we can't work them into the ground. We got, Kalon Black. Um, I'm sure Jordan James will be back here eventually. We just picked up Khalil Herbert. Let's just kind of, CMC is going to be the guy, but let's kind of back and forth do running back by committee. I think that would work as far as an advantage for the 49ers. So, how the offensive line holds up. That is big for the season, obviously. And, I hear from OTAs to training camp that the main guys have really taken the time to lose a few extra pounds to get their techniques down right. And I think the most underrated thing about the 49ers this year will be the strengthened offensive line, especially since there wasn't really any acquisitions for the offensive line except for I think Lamar, I forget his last name, Lamar Jones. I think Lamar Jones or Lamar Brown out of the Miami Dolphins. So I think they'll be very surprising this year. Nick Bosa leading the defense. Well, right now, everybody at training camp is kind of like got their eyebrows up, like what's going on? Because um, the last 2 days, Nick Bosa has been out with soreness, and that just sounds like precaution to me. But he looks like he's in incredible shape. I doubt he has re-injury, and they're just playing it safe. And I think he could really come back to form. I think he has things to prove. Nick Bosa does his own thing. It's quiet, but I think he has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because people don't think that he could get back to what he was. And we'll just have to see about that. Will the defense return to elite status? I'm going to say, as a realist, no. But I like what we've done, the additions of, Hobbs, Jack Jones, Dre Greenlaw, um, Osa. We've really gone out, and I like that we didn't sit still. And I think our defensive front will be good. Definitely our linebacker core is just, you could see in training camp they got the dog in them right now. Fred Warner's out here trying to injure every one of our key players we need for the season. Hope he calms down a little bit, but I love the aggression. And our secondary is kind of where I'm having the most concern. So we'll leave it at that. Sorry for the interruption. I have kids, it's just what it is. But the last thing, as far as the storylines with the 49ers, can Shile, can Kyle Shanahan get the team back to the Super Bowl? And I know I'm going to seem biased, but there's certain things that happen in a season where it's not expected, and like as far as like a Super Bowl run, but I just kind of feel like the Aiyuk stuff, and then now the adversity with the Niners dealing with the drama and injury of their coach Kyle Shanahan in that car accident. I think that they're gonna want to like try their best, and it's gonna motivate them thinking about all the stuff they've been through in the off season and over the years. And I think they're really gonna push it over the top. And I think, as long as Kyle Shanahan's head wasn't whooshed to where he has no memory, he's still that genius. And I think he will get the 49ers over the top. So, um, and some questions to ask. Are the 49ers still the team to beat? I don't think so. As far as the NFC West goes, it's got to be, you know, um, it's got to be the two other teams. I mean, Seahawks are the Super Bowl champions, and Rams, they really re-engaged in their defense, and they got a solid offense with potential Hall of Famer quarterback Matt Stafford. So I gotta I gotta put them ahead as far as the division. Is the championship window still open for the 49ers? My honest opinion is I think this might be the last year that the window is open. This to me just feels like that last chance. You get Mike Evans, you get a couple other receivers that will up your offensive game. You still got CMC. He's getting up there in age, and age is becoming a thing around the whole Niners. Sooner or later, it's going to crap out. And I think that we have one solid good year left for the championship window. Which players need to break out for the 49ers? Um, Something big for me is